gas, I need it right now. The plug, the re-up, I'm headed back out. The block is home, I made it my house. I need it right now. The fiends are en route, they need it right now. The team day is out, they need it right now. They need it right now. Yeah. I need it right now, yo. I really can't wait.
What's poppin', man? This is Real Shooters Podcast, the realest podcast in the world, where we shoot you that real because you already know the deal, man. I'm G Griff, man. I'm here with my boy GQ.
AKA, Desmond, AKA, it's all mean the same thing, y'all guys.
I love it. Yo, this is episode 4, man, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about who we brought on here. I actually wrote down some stuff because I went a little deep into their page, and I want to give them their respect because they've been doing some stuff. They ain't no regular person. This is high class. So we work with brands like Nike and Jordan, Steve Madden, Michael Kors. Has been in issued magazines like Image Magazine, Style Cruise, M-Vibe magazines. They did a piece on this person in Industry Rules, a digital magazine. Artwork has been seen in the Dallas Galleria Mall. Worked with models like Carolina Kurkova. Is that correct?
Carolina Kurkova.
Ah, there it is. Okay.
She's actually a ex-Victoria's Secret model.
That's what I put on here. I said XV. I know that. Okay. And published international fashion, wardrobe stylist, and designer, and owner of Styles by Stevie G International. Stevie G. Yeah.
I do make some noise for that excellence right there.
I do want to give myself my flowers, but I have also done campaigns with Coca-Cola, Hugo Boss.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've done some other major things that hasn't been released yet. I had the pleasure of working with Naomi Campbell.
That's a legend. That's a legend.
We all knew about that one. We said,
wow.
Yeah, it hasn't been released yet, so
okay.
you won't see it. I have been featured in the Golden Globes article as well. So, yeah, not to toot my own horn, but
I didn't do enough. It's okay. No, talk that talk. I love that. That's amazing. The stuff that I got was only obviously a minor amount of all the great things that they've done. So welcome. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I told Des that this was from somebody that I really was excited to have on, and from the conversation that we've been having behind the scenes, I know that you guys are gonna love this episode. Once again, thank you everybody who's been subscribing to us. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe this. We love you guys. We appreciate everybody who's been following us and helping us expand our brand and positivity around the world. But let's get into this, man. So Stevie, kind of just, run us through, your upbringings and everything. Kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am from South Florida, Miami, Florida. Born and raised. I was the youngest from my mom, who has, she had 3 boys. Now she has a 4th. So now I have a younger brother who's actually about to turn 10 next week.
Okay.
And on my dad's side, I actually have 6 siblings, but I'm the oldest.
Okay. So you get the best of both worlds.
Yes, I get the best of both worlds. Brought up in South Florida. I'm Haitian American, of course. I'll fast forward past everything of how I actually got into the world of fashion. It's always been a part of me.
Okay.
But I kind of shied away from it because it's like, I don't know, being raised in my family is like, oh, well, you have to do this. Like, you have to go to, because I originally was supposed to be a nurse.
Oh, okay.
But going through the process and going to school to be a nurse, I literally got to maybe 2 semesters before I had to actually graduate to go to nursing school, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, you could.
I was like so done with it. Like it was not for me. It wasn't creative enough. It wasn't fulfilling.
Yes.
But fashion was always something I did. I used to make clothes when I was little. I used to actually do things, as people would say, bedazzle. And during my time, we had Heatherette, which is 2 guys who would bedazzle clothing. So I took that trend and started doing things. Then I shied away from it. because I started to get in trouble for doing stuff I wasn't supposed to. And I came back to fashion because someone asked me to style their child.
Okay.
And for his entire senior year. And that process for me was the best process because I really enjoyed it. And she said, well, I think you should start this as a business. And I was like, no, you can't make money from this. Like, nobody can make money from this. And she was like, well, if you don't start the business, I'll just start the business and tell people you're the stylist. And I was like, well, I won't make you do that. And I actually just started calling myself a stylist. Didn't know what it was, didn't know what it meant to be a stylist. And I just did my research, and I never went to fashion school. And now I am here.
Wait, you've never touched fashion school?
No.
Have you ever wanted to go to fashion? Like, would you go to fashion school?
Yes,
Okay.
I will go to fashion school. To St. Martin, I think it is, in London. That's where I want to go.
Okay.
But no, I never took, any courses as far as fashion. But when something is in you and you actually want to pursue it, you find, like, you do the research, you put in the work to, figure out and find things that you need to succeed.
Self-taught. I mean, but that's amazing. The reason why I asked is because it's so amazing to see all the stuff that you've done and stuff that we're about to learn about you. And you're telling us that there's people that go to this school and they don't even touch this.
Right.
So for you to be self-efficient and self-taught to do that, that's a big commitment to yourself as well, and a big commend to you for taking that step. And it's a leap of faith. You got to truly believe in yourself. Doing this stuff. I mean, me and Des are figuring that out right now as we start this podcast. Like, you got to truly believe in yourself, because there's going to be a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that don't believe in you. And one of the books I've read many times over and over again is Think and Grow Rich. And it says when you have a burning desire, when you put that desire into the universe is going to give it back to you.
Okay.
And for me, when I did make up my mind and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pursue this, that was my burning desire, because I can literally get up and do wardrobe styling every single day, even if I'm not paid for it, because I have. And for me, it's not working. Like, I can be on set for 12, 13, 14 hours a day and get up at 5 a.m. and be like, I'm ready to go do it again.
But that's the love for it.
But that's the love I have for it, because it's just, for me, it's a, I don't know, like, how I also ran track when I was younger. Okay. So I was an athlete. I was in the band in high school. I was a cheerleader, and then I did a little bit of all-star, and I ran track, and I was actually one of the fastest during my time in high school. So,
what'd you run?
100, 200, and 4x1 first leg.
The first
See,
leg.
y'all better than me, because I'm on the blade. Put me on that track. It's hot outside.
You know someone's fast when you hear the 3, the 1, the 2, the 4x1. You know they fast, because I'm a 400 4x4 runner.
Quarter horse.
Yeah.
And I used to be an alternate for 4x4.
Yeah, see. So. Oh, you were the one. You were the chosen one. Okay.
But I always came to that. Coach, I don't feel good. I don't feel good.
Hey, man. I'll tell you, it was a tough race. But no, that's amazing. And we've noticed that most of our people that we brought on, well, everyone I can think of that we brought on, has had some form of athletic background, which I feel like that's something that helps us drive ourselves as well. You get that competitive nature regardless of it. And I feel like, that's something that we all always will have, So even though it was a short time or something like that for you, I feel like that also is like, it's our mindset too. It helps you, grow and stuff like that.
I agree. Oh, and I also did dance.
Okay.
I danced since I started dancing at the age of, maybe like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't stop dancing until I was in my mid to late 20s.
So you've kind of been in art.
I've always been in some sort of arts.
Yeah. Because dance, music, you play in the band. That's a form of art.
For me, that's my safe space.
Okay.
But wardrobe styling and fashion has always been my inner outlet.
Okay.
So like, I wasn't necessarily doing it. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm making this, but on the inside, it's just like, it gets my mind going.
Yeah.
It gets my heart racing. So
That's good. No, that's something that you truly love. I love that.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. This is getting good. So so let me ask you a question. You style the wardrobe for someone who's going to school, correct? That's your first kind of really back into it. You kind of were on and off a little bit, but that's really what propelled you back in. What was your big step after that kind of got you kind of to where you're at now and getting kind of these, I don't want to call them gigs, but getting these,
Getting these great bookings.
Yes.
So the big thing that got me to where I am today is after that, and I started telling people I'm a wardrobe stylist, and I'm doing whatever I think would get me seen, and this one girl ended up finding me on Facebook. She owned her own magazine. And she said, hey, somebody told me about you, and I wanted to know if you can do, my magazine's editorial. Oh. This was my first time even getting active. And I was like, yeah, I'm super excited. I didn't know anything about, what to do or anything, but I was like, yes. And I'm going to make sure, I deliver. And she said, but it's only one condition. There's someone that I was also considering. Would you be interested in having them as, your assistant? Okay. I said, oh yeah. So we can learn together because they may know some things that I don't know. Because for me, regardless of where I am, I'm always willing to learn.
Yes.
From anybody.
Absolutely.
In the industry. So that ended up happening, and I went, I actually picked up the assistant to go with me, and we drove from Miami to Tampa, Florida, and we had this long day of shooting and everything, and we stayed overnight or whatever to leave to go the next day. So on our way back to Miami, I think she was the hairstylist. The hairstylist got a call from her agent asking if she knew somebody that could be a wardrobe assistant.
Okay.
And she said, I actually know somebody, and she referred me.
Let's go. So it just kept stacking.
So
word of mouth.
From there, the agent ended up calling me and said, hey, you were referred by this person. And she was like very strict. She was like, I don't, this and that. I was like, I'm still new in the industry. I said, but if you give me a chance, I can show you what I'm made of.
Love it.
She met me. We met at a coffee shop in Wynwood, Miami. And as we met on the sidewalk to go into the coffee shop, a few people stopped me and they were complimenting me on my look. So for her, that was like, okay, I see something.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And here we are, this was in 2017, I believe. 2017, 2018. Okay. Here we are now in 2023.
Yeah.
She's still my agent. She's the one who got me the booking with Michael Kors, with Steve Madden, with Hugo Boss. Mm-hmm. She's also gotten me on Baptist Hospital. I did a commercial for them.
Okay.
I've done Tiny House Projects. I styled a host for that.
Okay.
So she's gotten me so many bookings.
She's moving on it.
Yeah. It's been a long process. Mm-hmm. But I was more pleased to hear her say that I was her only stylist that she reps that has never had a bad issue.
Oh, so you
and that's professionalism and as well as your craft.
My craft.
Absolutely.
And to this day, she asks me, what do I do? Because a lot of these people book me again.
Yeah.
The Michael Kors, the production company, was the same company that hired me for the Hugo Boss.
Okay.
So she's like, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I go above and beyond because as a wardrobe stylist, yes, I have to focus on the clothes and everything. But at the same time, in order for a production company to actually be able to get those pictures, I need to make sure that if they need somebody to hold a light, yeah, I'm supposed to be focused on the look and the wardrobe. But if they need somebody to hold the light, I'm going to hold that light because I still want that picture.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So
you're willing to put your ego to the side and do anything that needs to be done.
Do what needs to be done because at the end of the day, even though I'm getting paid for this, I still want that picture.
Yeah.
And here we are. I have another client who books me a week at a time each month.
That's amazing.
So,
well, and that just showcases that, like, when you do go above and beyond, it doesn't go unnoticed.
Right.
You know, some people, and we work regular 9 to 5s. You know what I'm saying? We do have side businesses that we always talk about. That's why we always tell people, yo, we're gonna shoot you the real. We're not gonna lie to you and say, hey, we're making millions of dollars, this and that. Listen, I got our side hustle. Don't worry, I got our side hustle, and then I also have you know, the things that I do for a living, my 9 to 5, that make sure that this house is paid for and everything. But we talk about it because sometimes even at our work we see people are so, they do the minimum that they can do, and it's like when you exceed expectations, it helps everybody, and even including in this, you know, small things, you know, making you feel comfortable doing things like that. It's important because it makes everything that goes along with it better.
right.
You know, I'll hold the light for you because, you know, you need it. Not because, now if I put my ego, you know, if I have my ego, it's like, no, I'm not gonna hold that light. The shot could be ugly.
Yeah.
Now you don't get booked again because you're like, it looks like crap.
Right.
And really,
exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
So that's amazing.
And when you say 9 to 5, I've always had a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, they was like, how do you do it? Like, how do you work a job and pursue? I said, well, I approach the job like this. I don't work for the job. The job has to work for me. And people was like, well, how does that even work? I said, because if I need to get off because I'm booked for this, I have to communicate that. If the job is not willing to communicate, to allow me to take that booking, this is not the job for me. Absolutely. But 9 times out of 10, I do what I need to do for that job, so they have no reason to deny me of taking that time off.
Absolutely.
Before moving to Dallas, I've been here 2.5 years. I used to work for Zadig and Voltaire.
Okay. Can you?
Zadig and Voltaire is a French brand,
okay,
based in Paris. They have stores now in the U.S. The headquarters for the U.S. is, of course, in New York.
Okay.
But it's a French brand, and I started there as a temporary person. Okay. Worked there for 1 week as a temporary person. In the middle of that week, the district manager said that she was interested in possibly hiring me. So I said, okay, cool. So she said, give me some time, and I'm gonna see if I can make the position for you. In my head, I'm like, what do you mean make the position? At the time, the store I was helping, they didn't have a position for a stylist. Oh. So she ended up having them, communicating with them. They met my pay rate and everything, and they opened that position. I started as a stylist working that position. The company started to, this was pre-COVID. This is actually 2018, 2019.
Okay. So right before.
Yeah, right before. So the company started to grow, and, they started, transitioning people and moving people. So my particular store, which was on South Beach, she said, hey, I see something bigger for you. Mm-hmm. She said, I can't speak on it yet. She said, but I do want to move you up to a supervisor.
Okay.
I said, okay, cool. Mm. I went and helped other stores and ended up meeting who is now the president of the company. I ended up meeting her.
Wow.
Okay. And she liked me. So that was just another, okay, cool. Ended up getting moved up to a supervisor. And right after that, they came to me and said, hey, we're opening the first accessory store in the company. This is in the company between the U.S. and France. Oh. So she said, well, we want you to actually open the store as one of the supervisors. I said, okay, this is great. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm moving up the ladder.
Yeah.
Okay,
we get things done.
Yeah, we get things done. We ended up opening up the store, and I was just a regular key holder, supervisor. Yeah. And after our first year in that store, no, it's actually before then, but I'm just going to say the first year. In the first year of that store, of me working as a supervisor, I got moved to be the operations manager.
Okay.
Fast forward to now, the store is closed down.
Oh.
And even after I left, my store was still running as it was supposed to with my team, the way I trained them. So that goes to show, like, it doesn't, like, yes, I'm a wardrobe stylist, but I don't, the same effort I put in wardrobe styling, I put in any and everything I do, because if I can give 100% to tying tennis shoes, the person that's getting shoes tied may be like, hey, I got something else for you. Or I may know somebody else that needs their shoe tied.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And for me, word of mouth or recommendation is one of the largest, basis of things that help people brands grow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And now with social media, it's really still word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
But via the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do what I'm supposed to do and I do, 100%, then it's going to come back in another form or another booking or a new client. So that's how it goes.
I love that because it just showcases like hard work does not go unnoticed.
And then when you put, kind of like to what you're saying before, when you put that energy out there, that quote that you said, when you put that energy out there, it only can be received from the energy that you put out there. So if you put out that good positive energy, it's gonna come back times two. Exactly. My question for you, with being a wardrobe stylist, say I'm a client and I'm just a regular Joe. What would I have to do? How would that business between me and you, the transaction work? Meaning, if I wanted you to style my everyday look for a job.
Okay. So for me, I'm speaking, I don't know how all stylists work, but for me, we first make that first initial, interaction. Hey, I need a stylist, and how does your process work? Mm-hmm. Every stylist should always tell the client how the process works.
Okay.
Once you know how that process works, then you take the time to actually get to know the client, know what they're trying to achieve, and also give them your feedback as a stylist on what you can do to help them achieve it, whether it's in your scope or not. Because I'm not the type of person, if what you're trying to achieve I can't handle or I can't do, I have to tell you that, because I don't want you to say, okay, well, here's the money, and then I take the money and then you're not satisfied with what you get.
Absolutely.
And then you also have to go through the process of seeing where they are and helping them every step of the way. And that's not necessarily for me, because I do have clients, personal clients, and I teach them because I'm still freelance and I do get booked by brands, that if I can't make it, these are your go-tos.
Okay.
These are the pieces that I've set up for you, that you don't need me. You know that if you're going to go to a business meeting, but you don't want to fully dress up, go to XYZ, pull it out of the closet, and you have a quick look without even thinking about it.
Absolutely.
So
educating,
always educating your client, but also communicating, the start to finish.
Absolutely.
And then also giving them visuals of what you can see for them. Mm-hmm. And that's about it.
So is budget a big thing between client and yourself? So meaning, if I say, you have to relate the math. If I say I have $10,000 to work with, mm-hmm. correct? And then that's just for the budget of what you're going to work with. That doesn't mean compensation for yourself, right? And I feel like a lot of people get that misconstrued, and they're like, well, I gave you $10,000. You're supposed to take whatever you're going to take out. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
So if you say you have a budget of X amount of dollars, okay. For me, I always say, does that include my styling fee? Or is that just for what you want to keep? Because not everything you have to keep. Because you can wear it, and a lot of stylists do this. You can get something and you can wear it, and you can say, hey, I like it, but I don't want to keep it. I can take it back, and I can keep it for myself. Or if it's something that is in condition where I can, dry clean it, return it, resell it, then I'll do that.
You just dropped the gem right there, because I know it's a lot of celebrities out here that's wearing stuff.
Put them on blast, but
I read in between the lines, but
well, I mean,
okay.
well, that's why we have showrooms. That's why
Okay.
we have, so many other things like a showroom. A showroom basically is a place where stylists can go and they can rent clothing.
Okay.
Whether it's for, an event or a photo shoot or, whatever, you can rent the clothing. We do have to pay for that. It's not the full price of an item, but we do have to pay for it.
Absolutely.
And when you become a member of a selective status, then they feel more lenient in giving you things that are of a higher value without having to pay as much.
Absolutely.
And then also too, you can also get people, designers and brands that would say, hey, I like the kind of work you do, so I'm just going to send this to you. It's mine. It's mine. But that doesn't mean I give it to you for free.
Absolutely.
So I may not charge you what they would charge on their website, but now you just got something that you wouldn't have purchased at a discounted price, and you still look good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so many variables when it comes to budget that can take part in it. But no, the budget of what somebody is wishing to spend doesn't always include what the styling fee is.
Okay, that makes sense. And I like what you said. The first thing you said is you like to have that initial conversation and then that understanding to where y'all are both on the same page.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And also too, for me, and I don't know if this is going to bite me in the future, but hopefully it doesn't. I don't take anything under 4 figures to start with.
I respect that. Because you have to have a certain, and the only reason I say this is because I've recently started buying a lot of clothing. Mm-hmm. Meaning I can look in my closet and I can see, at least five figures right there, in just clothes. And I wanted to ask you an initial question because I got hyped on that drip. Or it has to be designer. Mm-hmm. It has to be in order to look good, or for people to perceive me in a different light. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can elaborate on this, but I come to realize half the people that we're around everyday life don't even know what that is. So why am I spending $5,000 on a jacket or $2,500 on a Givenchy jacket? You know what I mean? Thank you so much for correcting me. I just want to let y'all know off camera.
You better get it right.
The last episode when I wore those, I said Givenchy, off camera, Givenchy.
Hey, we're getting it right.
What it is. I appreciate it. Do you feel that you can still look a certain way without the dollar mark?
Of course.
Okay.
And for me, I remember when I first started out, I used to be infamous for the look under $50.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm not saying that that's what it is now.
Absolutely.
That's not where it is now, because everything has went up.
Yeah.
But I used to be very infamous because I would, as a stylist, I learned how to shop. I knew what pieces to buy during the time of the year. I actually have a shopping calendar on what things to buy throughout the year, the best time to buy them, where they're going to be on, when it's supposed to be on sale, and things like that. I will tell you this as a stylist: the price that you get going into a store may not always be the price that I get going into a store.
I like that.
And also too, the label may not be the quality that you need. And there may be something that is an unknown label that may be the quality that you need.
That makes sense.
And you save money.
Mm-hmm.
One of my clients, she hired me and she said, I want to just start over because she lost a lot of weight. And I did a total closet wipeout. And she invested the money to start over again. And literally, she was able to get the staple pieces, meaning the everyday pieces or the go-to pieces that she need to create any type of look that she needed for any type of occasion. And a lot of those pieces weren't really expensive. For me, my personal style, clothing are just clothing. I love to spend money on accessories. And I will say this too. This guy who is really wealthy, he said that, the large brands, they market to the poor people because the poor people want to look rich. The rich people don't care about those labels.
Whoa,
Mhm.
yeah, say
Because
that
they
again.
already have
They have the money. They don't need that to defy.
Right.
They don't need the clothes to defy their wealth.
Define liberty.
Define their wealth.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the Bill Gates, where you see like Bill Gates, he'll walk up and he'll be in like the old dad stompers and like the regular button down. He's worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
But you not just any button down though. So
button down.
this is, like I said, I'm always willing to learn. So when you're in the industry, men of wealth look at the collar of your button down.
Oh, I never thought of that. Okay.
So
Can you elaborate on that?
So the collar of your button down tells a little bit about how much you spent on your shirt.
Okay.
So if your collar is all, flimsy and that means that shirt was probably a cheap shirt. But if you have a nice collar, a well-tailored collar, most likely you have a little bit of money because you spent that money on that shirt.
You know what? That's crazy because now I'm thinking about it. In the Joseph A shirt that I got, like the one that my coach bought me for our suit when we went down to our press conference down in NOLA. Mm-hmm. It's such a nicer shirt in comparison to my other ones. I love to wear that one because I'm like, it just feels like a nicer shirt.
Yeah. But they can tell. And like I have a client that we spent like $80 on a suit. But we went to spend $350 on the shirt.
Wow.
And you can tell the difference.
Wow. So
I'm about to get disrespectful with people's shirts.
Get
your flimsy ass shirt. Get your flimsy collared ass out of here, boy.
Collar shirt.
Is there certain, for example, you said a suit. Is there certain clothes that give off a particular brand if you're going for it? So meaning if a person wears a suit versus a person wearing a sweatsuit, is it going to give a different look to that person, or is he going? What I'm trying to get at is because I like watching Power, right? Mm-hmm. And just on Power, they were talking about Tariq. Are you familiar with Power? Mm-hmm. All right, they were saying, Tariq, your image, a suit is going to make your image better. Mm-hmm. And then, you just wearing, hip hop clothing and stuff like that. Right. So do you recommend a suit for people that's going for a better brand? Do you go for like a contemporary look? If a person's trying to big up his brand, ultimately what I'm getting at, if a person wants to big up their brand, what do you think they should wear?
It depends on the audience you're trying to attract.
Okay.
That's important.
You have to know your audience, and your wardrobe has to reflect what they want to see.
Okay.
So let's just say, I sell homes. If I want to buy $1 million home, I don't want to see somebody that look like they're going to sell me a shack down the street.
Facts.
So usually that person that's selling the $1 million home has nice hard bottoms, a nice well-tailored suit, and they're going to be clean cut.
Okay.
Now, if you're just selling, houses to anybody and you don't really care, then, stay true to your own style. But then again, you still have to know your audience.
Absolutely.
Because none of us are for everybody.
Yes.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Just like, there are people that I won't service. And it's not because I just don't want to service them, but because they don't fit the platform of where I'm trying to go.
Okay. Makes sense.
But that there are things like, cause I have a photographer back at home, and he said, well, I won't, call you because that job is too small. Sometimes those small jobs, could open a door to something bigger, but I'm not going to take a small job that's about to weigh me down.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It has to make sense.
Makes sense.
So you definitely have to know your audience and know what you're trying to accomplish.
Okay. And from your perspective, in your opinion, what season do you feel like is your favorite season to style? And what season do you feel like is the most fashionable season? Meaning in the mainstream, what's the most fashionable season where designers are coming out with, I get it. There's a fashion show pretty much every season, like spring, you have your winter and all that good stuff.
I actually love spring, summer because I love color.
Okay.
I personally love color. I love things that flow. I love, like my cousin says, I'm extra, so I love things that are extra.
Okay.
So spring, summer for me is one of my favorites. Winter, autumn, winter, fall, winter, that's those seasons are not as, I mean, you can be very fashionable, but it doesn't take much to be fashionable in summer, winter. It takes more to be fashionable in spring, summer because of so many variables like, climate, the area that you're in, and body positivity, so many different things. Whereas winter, you can cover it all up and still look good. I don't know if that answered your question.
That did.
No, I like that. And I do feel the same because I do feel like even though I like summer better because I'm a true Texan, like I love the heat. I feel like my style is so much better in the winter because I'll throw on my Tommy jacket. And it'll be simple. Like I'll throw on my Tommy puffer jacket. I have some nice pants, some nice shoes, and like I could have a holy shirt under it, and like y'all would never.
And you'll never know
because my jacket is so stylish that y'all, it's smooth.
Right.
I like that.
And literally in winter, you can layer. And because of the different layers, it creates a different aesthetic and a different look. And people are like, oh, yeah, that look good. And actually, it's just like, I was just trying to hurry up and get out the house.
But it's a certain look that I wanted to go for. Maybe you've seen it. So people will have like a sweatsuit on, but have the big trench over it. Kind of like in New York, they have a sweatsuit on, big trench over it. And then, if you want to get saucy with it, I have a guy, he puts his like, I don't know if like this is a fashion thing or not, but he puts his socks in his, in the sweatsuit. Have you seen that?
I've seen that.
I wanted to, try that, but for me, it just didn't look right.
Well, I mean, you have to. It's for me. I don't mind. I test any and everything. I test looks on myself before I even try it on anybody else. Okay. But you have to be able to test a look, and maybe maybe it wasn't the right sock, maybe it wasn't the right shoe. Okay. Or maybe it wasn't the right pant.
Is there such thing? Not to cut you off. Is there such thing as a all-purpose shoe, like a shoe that can go with anything? Yeah.
My all-purpose shoe. There is. There's definitely for me an all-purpose shoe, depending on the type of look that you want to go for. For me, my all-purpose shoe is a Adidas Originals. Okay. Shell toe sneaker. Okay. With the white with the black stripes.
White with the classics.
Classic.
The Run DMCs.
Yes. The Run DMCs.
Gotcha.
I can wear that with the suit. I can wear it with shorts. I can wear it with like you would say, a sweatsuit. I can wear it with literally anything, and it's a look. I've even had people wear it with tuxedos.
You can. I think that.
And it's a very clean shoe. It's comfortable, and it's like the shoe, my go-to shoe. But also too, I believe it's a. I can't think of a name now. I'm just going to say another shoe, but I can't think of it right now. Okay. But I've also a moccasin that has been very universal. I've seen guys wear it with suits. I've seen guys wear it with jeans. I've seen guys wear it with shorts and a t-shirt. And I don't know if you've ever seen like a guy wearing like the Sperry boat shoes. Yeah. That's the style of a moccasin.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
You can wear it with shorts and a t-shirt. You can literally wear it with jeans, a jacket, a blazer, or a sport coat. You can wear it with a button down and some slacks. Like you can literally transition a moccasin to be any kind of.
Absolutely, because I feel like everybody in whatever era it was everybody has worn a moccasin, whether it was a Sperry.
Right.
I remember when Sperry's used to be very fashionable.
Popular, yeah.
Very fashionable. Okay, that's nice. I have another question for you. I'm sorry. I'm just throwing out back.
Bro,
back.
go ahead.
Let it roll out.
I'm loving it because I'm getting some game. Because I'm getting some game.
What are your top 5 fashion events that you will want to go to?
Yeah.
Top 5.
Oh, that's
that I want to attend.
That
Or
you
have-
want to
or have
attend
attended.
or have attended.
So I'm not gonna say New York Fashion Week or Miami Fashion Week or Miami Swim Week because I've actually worked in all 3 of those.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Cheers to that. 'Cause I don't feel like that's regular. That's not regular.
Been there, done that.
That's not regular. That's not regular. This is excellence right here.
I will say one of my goals is to attend the Met Gala. Because that's like the Super Bowl of fashion. Another event, so that's one.
Right there.
Another event I want to attend that's geared towards fashion is, I never even thought about this.
It's a good one. That's
really
good.
That's a good one.
Really good.
I came prepared this week.
You came prepared.
Prepared this week.
Oh, this is the funny thing. Pre-COVID, I was invited to Paris Fashion Week by a designer to be his stylist. And this was literally right before COVID. And COVID hit. And I couldn't go to Paris because everything, of course, got shut down. So I would say Paris Fashion Week.
Okay.
Milan Fashion Week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then I will also say,
It's okay. These are good ones. Because even I've heard about these 3 that you just named. And I'm not the most fashionable, So for me to know, I was like, okay, these are big boys. These are hitters.
I will say the.
Okay.
Yeah,
I typed in the first thing. So I do. So SCAD has this fashion event where they announce like the design, like it's an award, the SCAD award.
Okay.
I do want to attend that.
Okay.
And it's funny that you asked me because actually a lot of these I have in my phone. I have a manifestation album.
Okay.
And these awards are actually in my in my album, so that's why I asked for my phone. Anyway, so the SCAD fashion event, and then
you gotta love that Miami one that you did though. That's home.
So I love Miami, but Miami, it's not as artistic. I love art.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, the designers are great. Gianna Azar is amazing. She's one of my favorite designers that are based in Miami. But I see it's Miami Fashion Week is mainly resort wear.
Okay.
So resort wear is not year round only. It's really year round only in Miami.
Yeah.
And a lot of places sometimes don't even get to that resort wear because by the time it's winter is over, they probably have 2 months of the heat, and then it's back to the cold.
Yes.
So
it's very very secluded in that. Like it's only gonna be a certain couple places that are really gonna be able to
that.
I
mean, you can take advantage of resort wear, but here there's not a lot of resort wear because there's not a lot of resort style things.
Understandable.
So that's I wouldn't limit myself to Miami.
Okay, that's cool. That's fair.
Now there are. I don't even know if
events.
Huh?
I was trying to finish your sentence. I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say there are events that you would like, kind of like a Rock Nation brunch type of thing. Now I know that's not like a fashion,
it's not a fashion event, but I wouldn't mind going. I mean, if that's the case, there's a lot of events I wouldn't mind attending, that aren't fashion based. But there's also a fashion event in Africa. That I would love to attend.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't think of the name, But it's like when a lot of the Nigerians and Ghanaian designers and fashion influencers, they come together for this big awards night. And I would love to attend that too.
Absolutely.
That's my 5.
That's cool.
Okay.
Speaking on that, are there a lot or any Haitian stylists or designers that you know of besides yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My good friend, her name is Waina, and she's actually a wardrobe stylist, but she also has her own brand.
Okay.
Atelier Noor, I believe it is. Atelier Noor. I'm sorry, Waina, if I'm getting the name wrong. But she's a great stylist, and she has a amazing brand.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been featured in so many different things. One which hit home for me was the reboot of Sex and the City.
Mm-hmm.
So one of her dresses was featured in that show. And she told me when it literally, because we were all on set together when she got the news, and I was super excited because my inner person is Carrie Bradshaw. So
Okay.
yeah.
I got you.
So when you see me on Sunday, that's where the Stella came from. That's where the Stella side of me came from.
Stella, I'm with it. So,
yeah.
That's perfect. I think that's amazing. So let me ask you this. From an outside perspective, things sound like they've been going really, really good. What were some obstacles that you felt like you had to overcome?
Let me tell you. Okay, let's get personal.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know.
So
talk to me.
So prior to me, remember I told you guys I got the job as a temp, and I was working as a depot temp. Mm-hmm. So prior to me getting that job, I was homeless.
Okay.
Really?
And I was sleeping under a bridge. Really? Well, not a bridge. I was actually sleeping under. I was first sleeping in my my storage unit, and then it was like, if you keep sleeping in your storage unit, we're just going to have to kick you out. And I was like, well, I don't got nowhere to put my stuff, so I can't do this. Yeah. So I started sleeping under a jungle gym at a park. And
is this in Miami?
This is in Miami.
Okay.
This is in Miami. And I had went through this horrible time. For me, it really wasn't horrible, but for others, it would be horrible. I had broken up with my ex-boyfriend, and I was just like, I don't want to go back home. I can't go back home. So, I was like, okay, I prayed to God and I asked God, I said, I just want you to take everything away from me so I can start fresh. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was my process of starting fresh. And that's what led to me getting because I had a company that would, they would send me, because I didn't want to work for anybody.
Yeah.
And they would send me these bookings, like fashion bookings, where I would go either work at a fashion show or work on at a store for a small amount of time. And, that's how that happened. Nobody ever knew I was homeless. I had homeless people coming up to me asking me for money. So I never looked homeless. Like I always carried myself the way I wanted to be perceived.
Yes.
Or the way I wanted to be.
Yes.
And I just continue to, look at it from a different perspective. And I came up with the concept of this, and my friends used to always hear me say this, like when they got into something, and it was just like, oh, I just don't know. And I used to always tell them, just because you're in a situation doesn't mean you have to be the situation.
That's strong.
So just because I was homeless, I never put myself to be homeless, if that makes sense.
No, you didn't
mentally.
You didn't play the victim.
And you didn't complain.
No, not at all.
You worked your way out of that situation to get to where you're at now.
Right. Like I worked, like I would literally, and so I originally stayed at the time when I was working at the job in Little Havana.
Where's that in correlation?
So that's Little Havana is south. It's close to downtown in Brickell. Well, it's actually in Brickell, the west side of Brickell. And I lived there, but I worked on South Beach. So when I actually became homeless, I would go and stay at when I had the money, I would, and I didn't do it every night because I had to be conscious about my spending. But I would go and stay at the hostel.
Okay.
Because it was like $20 to $30 a night.
Okay.
So I would go and like one night I'll go and stay at the hostel. Then the next night, okay, I'll go sleep at the park.
Okay.
And then another night I'll go and stay at the hostel. Another night I'll go stay, and nobody ever knew. And I only stayed at the hostel to take a shower.
Let's respect that.
So I did these things, and then I eventually was able to work my way out of it. And once I worked my way out of it, then my family asked me to move to take care of my grandmother, which I was doing on top of working a full-time job and being a wardrobe stylist.
Yes.
Which I did, and then I ended up moving here. So
that's strong, man. That's
I commend you.
that's
I commend
yeah.
you.
Like
That's not
I
easy.
like that's like in your aura and your like what you give off to us is just so strong. Like people don't think that when they see you, like they're like, oh, like I said,
like it's all together.
It looks like
looks good.
It just sounds like it just kept on going up, and so people don't understand. Like you've been through some things.
Oh yeah, I've been through a lot of things, but I don't know. I'm a goat. I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the mountain gonna just get higher, but I'm gonna keep climbing, and eventually I'm gonna be at the tip. And once I'm at the tip top, then I'm just gonna probably look for the another mountain that's even higher. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go lower than that.
I love that.
And just keep going, because at the end of the day, you never know what your life's journey is going to be, and you don't want to stop yourself in that journey, because essentially that journey will probably be something to help somebody else.
Yes.
So that's me. That's where.
I like what you said about not being your situation of what you're in.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't homeless, but once I graduated college, to attest to what you're saying, I had my first job. I was making around $50,000, right? And this is me coming out. This is 2017. I'm 23 years old, finally living on my own, and I get big headed, and my manager, she talked to me in a way that I was like, my mama don't talk to me like this. And I had a little money in my bank. I'm thinking $10,000 is a lot of money. So I said, you know what? Here's your the phone you issued me. Here's the keys, and I walked out. You know what I'm saying? And I was on my high horse, and God had to humble me because the water will run dry if you don't have money coming in. Yeah. So I went from a $50,000 job a year, paying my rent, all this good stuff, to working at Lowe's, because that's the only place that will hire me. Wow. And that's when I really call my best blessing from the Lord, is because I didn't do what I had to do what I had to do what I wanted to do. Right. You know what I mean? So I worked 100. I'll never forget this. It was a 2-week pay period. I worked 108 hours. I'm delivering refrigerators up, all this good stuff. Have a whole degree, and I only made $872. And I was like, what? My rent was $1,600.
Exactly.
And I had a car note and everything. And I just, I got down on my knees. I said, hey, if you get me out of this situation, and I worked my way through this situation, that humbled me to where I'm at now. We talked about, the businesses we have, and it just goes to show what you do put out is what you're going to get back.
Exactly.
And how you said, you wanted to not just be your situation, but you wanted people to see you of who you are going to become. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And I just wanted to commend you on that, because when I first met you, like we said, I would have never guessed that. Yeah,
a lot of people. Even so, no one knew. This is this is.
So we got an exclusive right here.
Yeah,
this is an exclusive right here.
Well, crazy to me. Well, no one. Let me rephrase that. No one in Dallas knew that.
Okay, absolutely.
But at the time when I was in the midst of it, none of my friends knew, none of my family knew, nobody knew that I was actually homeless. Yeah, and it wasn't until I was out of it and I ended up telling one of my best friends, because he was in a really bad situation, and it wasn't for me to tell him like, okay, well, my situation is worse than yours. It was for me to help him understand that this is just a temporary moment. And if you allow it to unfold the way it's supposed to, you're going to be out of it, and you're going to be able to use your situation to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
But back to what you were saying, this is why I always communicated with my bosses, my managers, because at the same time, I'm human just like you. You can lose a job just like I can lose a job. But I'm going to communicate to you because at the end of the day, you're going to, me leaving or me quitting or me whatever, you're going to feel that too. So if we can meet each other in the middle, everything that's going to come after this won't be necessary.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I feel like when you have that, because I feel like that was a humbling moment for everybody. Like we've all had our. He's told you about it. I've had my personal humbling moments. I feel like those moments help us grow to be better people.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that moment in your life helped you be where you're at right now?
Oh, of course. That for me was my spiritual time. That's when I started to dive deeper into, metaphysics, and I dived more into numerology. I dived more into astrology, and I started to take a more spiritual journey, versus, allowing that situation to overtake me. And that's what helped me to evolve to the person I am today. Because one, I used to be a hothead.
I feel that.
Like Dave is the biggest hothead. I'm just gonna let you know that. This dude right here.
I'm not the biggest hothead.
I used to literally.
What are you talking about?
I used to be a hothead. Like, I was always underestimated because I'm only 5'3". And back then, I didn't have no weight. I was just only 110. What is that gonna do to me? But after the destruction was done,
it's always after the fact.
It's always
always
okay. And
after
now I see why he's going through this process. But I was a hothead, and it was so many different things that added to what I didn't want.
Yeah.
That I had to change myself to start receiving what I did want, or at least start taking the steps to get to where I want to be. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing to hear about. I'm glad that we're at where we're at now. And we always talk about how funny like things are because I met my wife in college, and I met some of my friends through college, and it's so weird how things are met. How we've met was such a one-time, one-off, and I could have just been quiet and be like, oh, he don't want to talk. And then, we end up talking, having conversation. You tell me what you do. We're starting the podcast. We hadn't even started. We hadn't even done our first episode when I talked to you.
I agree.
So it's just so crazy how our paths have aligned. So I do understand that astrology and how things are crazy and how it aligns together. That's it's funny how it works, but it's so amazing. But it's amazing. It's amazing.
What you said earlier, what's that saying? 6 degrees.
6 degrees of separation. Absolutely. You never know. And that's why I'm big on energy. Yes. So I'm very big on energy and how I treat other people.
Oh, yes.
I like what you said off camera. You can learn from anybody.
Yeah.
I can learn from anybody. And I feel like a lot of people need to adapt that because, man, it's so much knowledge out here in the world that can be given, that can be soaked up. And it's just, it's very simplistic if we really think about it.
Yeah.
It's very simplistic.
It's very simple. And it's a give and take, peaks and valleys. And you have to be willing to acknowledge them all for what they are, and just apply it.
Okay.
So yeah,
Stevie, I love your freaking energy.
I bought off Amazon.
So I have a fashion question.
Okay.
Can you give me your best? And I'm pretty sure they have stylists, but what's your best look for male and female celebrities? Who are your best male and female celebrities that you think are the most fashionable?
Oh my God. Well,
or you can say if it's more than one, it could be more than one.
Well, oh Lord. Well, shout out to Colin Carter. Okay. Because he does his thing with anybody he styles. He is Cardi B's wardrobe stylist.
Okay.
And he does his thing with male or female. So shout out to him with that.
She do be looking.
She
rocks.
And I'm gonna say shout out to Law Roach, who is Zendaya, Celine Dion.
Okay.
He styles them. So I'm gonna shout them out versus the people.
Okay.
Because people don't understand the time, the effort, the headaches, the backlash, and everything that a stylist has to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Because the stylist doesn't only worry about the wardrobe. We have to think about the jewelry. We have to think about the nails. We have to think about the hair, the makeup. All of that is what the stylist is basically, essentially over.
Okay.
The whole look.
The whole look. The
Okay.
actual
Absolutely.
image of a person.
Okay.
I'm thinking about Farnsworth Bentley, who was just an assistant. Changed the image of Diddy as a stylist.
I never knew that.
Yes.
I've never knew that.
He
That's
was
a gem
always
right there.
dapper.
That's a gem right there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, because when I think of Farnsworth Bentley, I'm thinking of a very just, sophisticated.
Just posh.
Sophisticated. He's not doing too much, not doing too less. It's just, he's always seen but never heard.
Right. A classic. He's like a classic man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I'm just going to shout. I won't give the people because it takes a lot to make sure that those people are consecutively dressed and on the carpets or at the events or in the video or campaigns and looking good for the media to see.
Respect. Is there someone that you've always wanted to like style? Like, have you ever had a person where you're like, damn, I could have did you right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
okay. So I'm not knocking anybody's stylist or anything or what anybody does.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really want to get my hands on, even though she's not in the fashion world like, she was, but Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay.
I want to get my hands on her. I really do. And she's older now, but a younger person is Rihanna. Because she is like
she's everything.
She kills everything. She touches every
she
magazine,
like trash bag with a bow on it. I'm like I want the trash bag. Is that hefty plus?
Yes.
But Rihanna, she's so chic, she's amazing, and everything that she pulls off, and because she's personable.
Mm-hmm.
She's more relatable.
She's definitely down to earth.
And very down to earth. As far as female. Now, male. I will say I would like to style Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan would be fire.
Okay. I just watched Creed too.
Yeah.
And I like how that wardrobe was set.
Yeah, I want to style Michael B. Jordan because he's still he's very young for where he is. And I think that he can really experiment with more looks.
Absolutely.
That he hasn't tried yet. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a body style that's kind of tougher to style than others? Or is it like you fit the person to their body style?
So I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to learn body types.
Okay.
Some body types, I won't say one, I'll say some body types require more time than others. But I won't choose, they're all, because I've learned how to work with so many different body types, they're all easy to work with.
Okay.
I won't say easy, they're all manageable to work with. Because there have been some people that were too skinny.
Yeah.
To the point where, okay, we just have to put you on something else because the pants, even if we was to do this and that, now you've literally constructed a whole new pant because you're so small.
Oh wow, okay.
So it's never one is easier than the other. It's just a matter of some need more time than others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now correct me if I'm wrong. Because I'm in the entry level stages of this whole, style and all that shit.
I'm just happy to be here.
Well, he alluded to body structures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there certain body structure? Now, I've heard there's a square. Some people may have a triangle figure. Is there more of terminology kind of like that? Is it? Because I think I don't know all the terminology, but
I don't either. I told you I didn't go to fashion school. Okay. I didn't go to fashion school. But as far as a person's body type, there is terminology. I can get that to you.
Okay.
Because I literally was looking up different things this week. And sometimes there are body types that don't fit into any of those.
I got you.
And there's sometimes you have to make, like, for me, it's all about making a shape for a person and not putting them in a shape.
Okay, absolutely. So, like, what I was alluding to is like the new oversized. Now, I feel like a year ago, everything that was oversized was in fact, in style. So the essential collection, how you can put on a oversized hoodie and say, for instance, I have broad shoulders, right? So oversized naturally kind of doesn't look good on me just because I have extremely long arms, but I'm thin. So if I get an extra large, it looks like a blanket on me. If I get, a medium, if I raise my hand, you can see my armpits.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So the hard thing for me when I, try to go and, find clothing, because it's a certain look that I want to give off. I want to give off a distinguished type of look. I try to veer away from, like, I guess, the norm. So
that's what I mean about creating the shape.
Okay.
Because if you get something that's oversized, European fashion, oversized button downs is what they like to do with a more cut blazer and a more cut trouser. But also too, you have to be willing to pay for that look. So like if you're 17 and a half neck, but your arms are too long for that, okay, get an 18 and go and get the tailor.
Gotcha.
Because that'll only cost you maybe $12, $15, $25 at the most. But you now have a well-fit shirt that meets the requirements for you.
Makes sense.
And like we said before, investing in that shirt, or like if you were to wear essentials, and let's just say a sweatshirt is too long, there are things you can do to make the sweatshirt look, like for essentials, like because they have the tapered sleeves, tucking in the tapered sleeve now creates a shorter sleeve, and when you pull that tapered part up to here, now it creates a shorter sleeve, but it still fits your shoulders.
Makes sense. Okay.
But that's my job. Don't try to take my job.
No, I won't. Trust me, you will be fully compensated.
So give me some games. So we're getting married. I'm getting married in October.
Okay.
We're gonna have a destination wedding. It's gonna be in the Dominican. Okay.
Nice.
All right, it's gonna be nice and
So
warm. Yeah. They love me down there. They think until I start opening my mouth, and they're like, "Oh, you're not what it was." But what pointers would you give me when I'm trying to pick out my suit and the suit for my groomsmen? Like, what would you say? It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be warm. I know our ceremony is gonna be outside.
Okay.
But we're gonna have a reception inside. It's not gonna be super blazing hot,
right,
but it will be pretty warm.
Right. The same thing the women have to go through. If you choose something, you have to think about how it will look on every guy.
Okay.
Because it may look good on you, it may look good on the first guy, but then the three guys at the end, it's like, nah, that didn't fit them too well. So you have to be considerate not only about how you look, but how it will look on every guy.
Okay.
You have to also think about types of fabric. Because you guys are going to DR, it's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
There are suits that come in so many different fabrics. Chino suits, usually, which is a sport jacket and a chino pant, they tend to work really good, and they're more flexible. They're cheaper and they're more breathable. Okay. You also want to consider. How many would you need of that particular suit, Or, you know, if let's just say I'm just gonna use what is it, the suit shop for men where they go for the
Men's
warehouse. Men's warehouse.
Yeah.
So you want to also make sure that, you know, if you decide, hey, we just gonna all go to men's warehouse. If you have somebody that lives in another city or state, you have to make sure that they can also, you know, get the same exact thing that you can get at a men's warehouse somewhere else.
Okay.
So many variables. Just like with women, you know, one may be top heavy, so she can't wear, you know, that strapless dress like the other girls.
Yes.
So, you know, you have to think about all those different things.
I got
Of course, comfort, shoes. What shoes work for you? Like, because if you're a size 10 and then, you know, you got your boy from college where it's a size 13 and a half,
it's going to look a little
different, you know?
Yes.
So those are the main things is, you know, fabric, and also two colors. People don't, you know, think that color plays a big factor, but it does. Because some colors look good on any size, but then there are colors just like, nah, you look like, you know, no. It's not working. This color's not working for you.
Yeah.
So you want to be conscious of all those things.
Okay. I'm definitely going to take that into consideration for sure. Because, yo, my sister-in-law was sharp. I was like, yo, she had like a nice button down, and it was like a turtle buttons and very nice. It was smooth. It was
double breast.
Yes, it was very, very, very smooth what she did. I was loving it. Okay, so let me ask you this: if there was a brand that you could work with right now, you know, they called you up, and you're like, I'm out of here, y'all. Like, I gotta go right now. Who would it be? Any brand that you want. It could be somebody that you worked with already. You know, that you just enjoyed working with them so much. I mean.
What brand do I want to work with? It would be Schiaparelli.
Who are they? So let me break it down. Break it down to the
Schiaparelli. They're a French brand, or Italian, European brand. But they incorporate, you know, art pieces into their garments. Okay. So like, they had this one brooch that's actually the side of a face with one eye. They we were talking about earlier, Doja Cat, when she had the all red crystal with the crystals all over her body, that was Schiaparelli. Oh, okay. Pat McGraw was the makeup artist who actually came up with that crystal concept. Yeah. Who was a black woman. She's black. She's been in the industry for years, and she's been trailblazing forever. But she always makes those.
What was her name one more time?
Pat McGraw.
Pat McGraw. Shout out to Pat McGraw.
Yeah, because that fit was fire.
But I would love to work with them because their accessories and just the artistic way that they create those designs.
Okay.
So, if y'all see this,
go ahead. Go ahead and get Stevie. Yeah, he'll get you right.
And we alluded to the Met Gala.
Yes.
So I would like to go further in depth on the Met Gala. What if you could choose, and you're getting paid for both, to style someone for the Met Gala or be styled for the Met Gala? Which one are you choosing?
Ooh.
I told you.
That's difficult. Only reason why I say that's difficult because I'm a very creative person.
Okay.
And I can be really creative if I'm given the materials and everything that is needed to create the look. I would say style.
Style.
Because I don't think a person would be as free enough, I'm going to say, to style me. Or maybe as creative enough to style me. Because you can style me and I can probably say, well, can you add this? Like, I'll be that style, like, well, can you add this to this and just, can I give you this?
Because you're still going to want to put your touch
I'm still going to want to put some sort of touch because I need it to be authentically me.
Absolutely.
And this is going to go into my identity. I'm non-binary.
Okay.
And there are times I dress very androgynous. There are times I dress very feminine. There are times I dress very masculine. There are times I dress in between where people don't know what to expect. And for me, people may only see one part of me and think, okay, I can do that. But for something like the Met Gala, y'all see how Billy Porter be coming to the Met Gala?
I love the Met Gala for multiple reasons. I want to go personally. Me, that's on my bucket list. I would love to go to the Met Gala. I want to be one of those people who no one knows who he is, but who is that guy?
Right? They love the look.
Yeah, they love the
like
look. What do you do? Who is that guy?
The look?
Because I've heard. I don't know if it's a fact. Maybe you can fact check this or let me know. But I heard a Met Gala ticket's $30,000.
So okay, so the Met Gala was one of the main things I studied, and it was because it's something on my bucket list. But the Met Gala is a charity event.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's for the Met Museum.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
So they use the Met Gala to raise money for the Met Museum. And rest in peace. But he was the person I looked up to, which was Andre Talley.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys ever seen like the big fat guy that
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. It went viral. Viral.
So he's the really, big, tall, 6 foot something, heavy guy, who, he was creative director and stylist, but he was good friends with Anna Wintour. She consulted with him on a lot of things about fashion. Okay. He's friends with Karl Lagerfeld. He's friends with Yves Saint Laurent. He's friends with a lot of people in the fashion industry because he's like the fashion encyclopedia.
Oh, he's God.
He's like the fashion god.
And he styled a lot of Beyonce, correct?
He styled a lot of different people. But one of his most iconic things was he styled Michelle Obama once Obama was
the inauguration.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing.
So he styled so many different people. But he started working in the Met under Diana Vreeland, who used to be a editor-in-chief for Harper's Bazaar, and I think she was also editor-in-chief at once upon a time for Vogue. And she was a fashion icon. This is going back to me doing my research on history. But that's where he started, and it was it was not a big department like it is now, but it was a small department, and his test was to actually style the mannequin. And, from there, the Met Gala didn't get any funding for art or for fashion.
Okay.
And now, fast forward, now they have the Met Gala where they now see fashion as artwork.
I mean, like I said, I didn't even know that there was for a museum. I was like, I thought it was always a fashion show.
So the Metropolitan Museum of Art, they have the Met Gala, and then after the Met Gala, they allowed the people to see the exhibition that was put on for the Met Gala.
That's amazing.
In your opinion, this is a good question. In your opinion, who slayed the Met Gala? It could be any year. Who was that person that just slayed? And
so Rihanna of all time will still be the person.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
In her guape custom gown that took 2 years to embroider.
Is that the yellow one?
Yes.
I know
that
exactly
was custom
what
guape, and it was all hand stitched, and it took 2 years to create that garment.
That's amazing.
See, when you came, I told you I did my research.
No,
that's a very iconic moment because you had two different worlds coming together in fashion and displaying not just fashion but the art of what happens when you create something and it's not about a look, it's about a feeling, and it brings two different worlds together. So yeah,
art's and it's like poetry in motion, like basketball.
Exactly,
but it's still a form of art and everything like that. Yeah. Just running back, you did speak on you being non-binary. I want you if you're comfortable with it, I would love for you to kind of educate some people, on that, and as well as me.
Okay. So non-binary is an umbrella term. So you have gender fluid, you have androgynous, you have queer, so many different ways you can identify.
Yes.
Non-binary people, they don't stick on they're not on the spectrum.
Yes.
So on the spectrum, meaning that they don't identify as male specifically or female specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people get this misconstrued because they've tried to place the identity of a person with as the sexuality of a person, which is two different things.
Okay.
Because you can be non-binary and like whatever you like.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's just how you choose to identify.
Yes.
But me specifically, I'm non-binary. I personally don't necessarily identify as complete male or complete female.
Yes.
I am who I am.
I love that.
Yes, sir.
So
I love that. Yeah. We had a little conversation beforehand, and we were speaking on it. And I actually, my sister being, married to her wife and everything like that, I called her up and I was like, you guys have been together for 6 years, 5 years, and I don't know things. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I don't want to be ignorant. And I feel like sometimes people are so scared or worried to ask the question.
Yes.
Because they feel like, they will offend somebody, rather than coming with an open mind and being like, hey, open up to me. Tell me how I should approach you. Tell me what I should say to you and how I should speak to you, so that we can be a better understanding.
Right.
And
just like it is for everybody else, it's a learning experience for us too.
Yes.
Because I'm raised in the 90s. We didn't have all these pronouns and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And when people, I was at one point where I was like, I'm anti-pronoun. Yeah. And people was like, well, what does that mean? I was like, I don't care about pronouns. Like, because at the end of the day, I'm a noun. I'm a person. Like, you can't box me in to say that I have to, you have to call me this noun. You have to call me that noun or pronoun. Because I know me, when I'm talking to my friends, when I'm talking to family, those pronouns, they get thrown around loosely in any kind of way. So, even my mom, sometimes we're talking and she's like, girl, and we just talking.
Yes.
And it's for me, she's not saying, oh, I just called my son a girl. It's just like, we're just talking.
Hey, we talked about it because it'll be smooth. I'll be like, yo, bitch.
Right.
Listen, man.
And so, down in South Florida, I heard that this was, and I do apologize if this offends anyone in any sort of way. But down in South Florida, when gay people, guys specifically, are talking, sometimes we say, punk, what's up? Mm-hmm. Or ho, what's up?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
just the terminology.
Or just the terminology. Or like, faggot, where you been? So,
yeah.
I can't tell somebody you have to call me this. And then when I'm with somebody that I'm cool with, I let them call me whatever they want to call me.
Yeah.
Because they're a part of the community, and then you're not. You see what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. I like how you're coming, because you're not making it a wall. It's kind of like why we don't say the N-word on here.
Right.
Because it's like once we say the N-word on here, even if we know and people know, it gives sometimes people life. So if we don't want to express that, we're not going to give that life.
Right.
Now, if we on here calling people, N-word this, N-word that, we can't really be mad if somebody be like, yo, what's up? I
can't get mad because you set the precedent.
You set the, yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
now that makes,
like, you're
that
ready
makes
to be known.
1000%.
Whatever, hey, if I'm putting this out, this is allowed throughout everyone.
Right. It's allowed. Now, you can pick up on a person's tone.
Yes.
And the way that they're saying it, if they're trying to be saying it in a derogatory way.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
And now, for me, I don't care who you are, what you are, where you come from, how you been, what you growing up, how much money you got. I would never let you disrespect me.
Yes.
Or anyone in front of me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, if y'all are talking and, it has nothing to do with me, and you was like, well, this gay nigga or this,
check yourself.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
I know that's how you feeling, but Let's take it back. Let's
check
take it
yourself.
back.
Check
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely.
I respect that. In the same sense, like the N word, like you know what I'm saying, like going out and like you can tell somebody's trying to be disrespectful
Right.
to you.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that's just like
kind of like in our culture, like how between women, they can call themselves, the B word.
right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a term of like a sisterhood. You know what I mean? But if a man, tries
Like,
to,
yo, B, come here.
it doesn't mean the same thing.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I understand that.
Yeah.
completely.
And I mean, and that's with anybody.
Yes.
Because if a girl be like, oh that old thug, like, hold on, chill, sis, like, just chill out.
Yeah.
Because maybe he didn't want to talk to you because you didn't look like what he wanted, but
Yeah.
that don't mean that's what he is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's for me. I love peace.
Absolutely.
We the ones, we need the peace the most because we the starters. We the shit starters. See, I knew I love Stevie. Stevie just like me. Hey, I love my peace, but I'll crank this shit.
Listen.
I won't start it, but I'm gonna finish that for you.
Always finish.
And I love that we did get on that subject because I think it's important that we do have this conversation because I always say, talking with my sister and everything like that, we had like maybe a 20-minute conversation, but and she's like, Dave, she's like, Dave, I love you, and I know that you would never be that type of person to hate people. And like we always talk about, coming from a place, my school that I went to, I've seen every type of people.
Right.
I've had friends that were, lesbian when I was in 8th grade, 9th grade. I've had friends that were gay, and it was no problem. Like, they're people.
Right.
And some people, I know that it's terrible, but some people don't see it that way, and the way that they're raised and the way that they've grown up, they can't allow it, you know what I'm saying? And it's sad. But it's like, we as people should not be trying to put people in a box due to what we believe in,
Well, it's not necessarily to what we believe in, it's what we've been programmed to believe.
That's a great way to put it too. That's a great way to put it too.
I forgot the scientist's name, and he was being interviewed, and the guy said, "Well, is outer space, Gary Strait?" He said everything in outer space is on a spectrum.
Oh, I like that.
He said, so elaborate over that because that went over my head.
On a spectrum, so that means it's neither this or that. It's a spectrum.
Absolutely.
So to say that outer space is gay or straight, you can't place something in a box. And he says that's what people try to do. Mm-hmm. They can't fathom, place or allowing people, or their minds can't fathom the lucidness of something just being free.
Exactly. And fluid. I like that.
And fluid. Now, it's funny because when I first moved here, of course, I was long hair and this and that. And it was the most hilarious time because people would see me from behind. I've had guys try to talk to me.
Yeah.
And then I turn around and it's like, oh. And then I've had guys that say, I just like you because you can do both. Mm-hmm. Or you just make it look easy to do both. I've had a guy that said that he's jealous, not in a mean way, but in a good way. He said, because if you were to have a child, you can be the mother and the father all by yourself.
Yeah,
I disagree. But
that's a hell of a compliment.
But that was a hell of a compliment. He said, because you do both so effortlessly. And I said, and this is why I don't conform to being a male or just a female, because I hate being limited in what I can and can't do.
Yeah, I respect that.
So there we have it.
Well, I love that. And hopefully people watching this, you guys kind of got a little game and got a little bit of a better understanding of how people are different, I love how we did get to talk on that, and educate, man. There's some stuff that I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that I got to have that conversation, I'm glad that I'm more knowledgeable of what's going on in our world, And I feel like a lot of people are so quick to get stuck on something, especially like we're as millennials, because that's what we are.
Yes.
We're really stuck in between the time. And I've really, like, the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing, because we have the older group who's behind us who are stuck in like a stiff way. Yeah. A stiff, like, this is how it is.
We were programmed off of their imperfections that they had to go through. I feel like.
And then now we're with the Gen Z, it's kind of like, they are more of thinkers and more of like, hey, like, this is this and this is what I think. And so I feel like we're in a great medium of like, hey, we've seen how things are and how things can be, and we're the perfect mix.
Right. We're the mix of
hardworking and free.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we're the perfect mix, but also too because we've seen the evolution of the world.
Yep.
Right.
In such a small amount of time.
Yes.
Because I remember having dial-up.
I remember the phone. Yeah, the phone with the cord.
Listen, like I remember,
my mama I'm on the phone talking in 5th grade. You talking. Y'all, the meme where you got your feet up on the wall.
Exactly. Dumb kind of
Get off the phone. You know what I mean?
Right. Get off the phone.
Who's on the line?
Right.
Yeah.
And that dial-up was something real for us though. Like, don't touch the phone. We downloading music.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody going to pick up the phone.
You be ready to kill them.
Because it has to start all over again. And we used to do instant messenger on AOL. And it really wasn't as instant.
Yo, MySpace.
Like those things, like we've seen, things evolve.
Yes.
And we were able to adapt to the old way of living and now the new way of living.
We're the best. I tell people, I said we really the best.
Absolutely.
Like Gen Z couldn't last in the old days.
In the old age can't last.
We were right in the middle. We're in the perfect spot.
They couldn't
I agree with that.
Oh my gosh, this has been amazing.
And then all it takes is a conversation to pave the culture forward. That's all it takes. Understanding, and just that conversation.
No, I don't think it's just a conversation.
Well, more than a conversation. Absolutely.
It's gonna take a little more.
Way more than a conversation.
Because some people,
but the conversation is the start.
It's a start, but you also have to have those people that's fearless. That's gonna be like, okay, well, that's what you say, but at the end of the day, we still have to evolve.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
that's the big thing.
I always say
it's constantly evolving.
The easiest thing and the hardest thing are the same thing. The easiest thing is to be yourself, but yet that's the hardest thing to do is be yourself.
Well, it's the media. The way the media is controlled, it's hard for people to be themselves because they want to be what they see in the media. Mm-hmm. And if you be yourself, you'll realize that's how they got in the media most of the time.
Yes.
I can remember Paris Hilton. And this was before, reality stuff was reality stuff. Paris Hilton, she was like the queen of, reality.
Yeah.
And, just to see how she took that step back to leave and do what was best for her and come back. And now she's like 100% still being herself.
Yeah.
And still getting just as much media attention as she was before. Mm-hmm. So it's it's a beautiful thing.
It is. Yeah. Always be yourself. That's the big thing for me. Yes. I like genuine. I listen. I don't care what type of person you are, what kind of walk of life you've been through. As long as you're genuine with me, because you can kind of feel when someone's not being genuine. You can feel when someone's faking it, and they're trying to be. It's kind of like the famous, like those famous ones where like the person's like, "Oh, what's up, dog?" And this, and you're like, "Come on, bro." Like
I'd rather you say hi, howdy, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, hey, my man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Be you, and for me, like people meet me and they're like, you just always like you. Like, I've been through enough stuff for me not to, want to, like, for me to want to be something else. Like, the stuff I had to deal with, I'm good with me. Like, guess what? Now it's a flex that I can still be here to say, that's what I went through, but look at me now.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone that's, maybe that may be something hard for them to struggle with them being themselves with the media? And because I have certain friends that I went to college with. Mm-hmm. We were on the same frat together. Mm-hmm. And, eventually, I think 2 years ago, he came out. Mm-hmm. And then he's seen, a lot of people switch on him, mm-hmm. And I told him that's the biggest blessing you can have. Because now you know who really loves you and who you can really, who really in your corner.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you have any advice for people who?
Yes. So the advice for, if you're struggling with coming out, if you're struggling with anything, you first have to be true to your own self. For one, And for two, you have to be willing to actually go through the process of understanding what that will look like for you. Meaning, let's just say I was, in the closet. I have to personally look into myself and say, hey, do I want to continue to live in the closet, or do I want to live in a place of peace where I can be, regardless of who is going to not talk to me, not be, do I want to live in a place of peace for myself? And that's the hardest thing, because sometimes people don't know how to find their own peace. And they feel like if I do, then they'll put themselves in a situation where they catch more hurt. When, and a lot of times you don't catch a lot of that hurt. The process may not be comfortable doing it, but you don't catch a lot of hurt. And for me, technically speaking, when I came out very young. But when I did, I was just like, now I can do it.
A weight release.
The burden has been lifted, and now I can live for me. Because like we were saying before we started, people tend to live on the perception of what other people would think of them. And you have to disregard how they think or feel and start relying on how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. Because at the end of the day, those people fade away and you'll still be stuck with yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I love that, because I remember when my sister, she came out and everything like that. And I remember I had met Sierra, which is her wife, and I met her before. She actually did some boxing classes for me and everything like that. She's actually really nice with the hands. So that's why I gotta watch her. She's nice with the hands. But I remember they took me, I remember I was coming down from college or whatever, and they took me to like Chili's or something like that, and they sat me down. And, we're having a good time, this and that, and she's like, hey David, I really wanna tell you something, this and that. And I was like, I'm scared, because I'm big on my family. Like, as long as you're not sick, like, I can get through anything.
Right.
Oh my gosh, please don't tell me you're sick. You know what I'm saying? But they sat there and they told me, and they talked to me, and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm with Sierra, and I want you. If anything is, I'm looking like, y'all still gonna like pay for my lunch? I was like, bro, I don't care. Like, I was like, bro, listen.
It's so funny. Let me say it. My mom, she was like, so, okay. And I was like, yeah. She was like, I already knew. I just wanted you to tell me. I was like,
That's usually, I feel like that's usually how it is. Like, you kind of get like a little vibe from it and everything like that. But you're like, like, you don't want to say anything.
Yeah, like you're still like you're still my child regardless. Yeah. And it's for me, I like to be an upfront person. Yeah. It's not as difficult once you get it off your chest to even communicate to that person afterwards. Like my brothers, I met my brother and a sister. I was about 20-something years old, and I met them for the first time. And I was like, I have to tell them though, because like, what if they want to visit me, or what if like, all these different things. I was like, this is my brother and my sister. I have to tell them. And I told my sister first because she's like the coolest, and she was like, I don't give a. My language. She was like, I don't give a. Yeah. She's like, you said my big brother. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So then it was moment of truth, because like you got to tell your brother, and this is my younger brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm like, dang. So I was like, bro, I gotta tell you something. And he always thinking, he thinks I just, he's like, you want some money? Like, like lottery. And I was like, no, I wish, but I was like, I did this through text, because I was like, I can't call this man and tell him this. Mm-hmm. And I text him, and he was like, nigga, ooh.
No, you're fine.
This is what he said. He was like, nigga, you know what it is. I don't care about that. Yeah. He was like, but you gonna still come down and visit us, right? I Oh, okay.
Hey,
this is dope.
I'm the baby of four, so that's the baby really don't be curious. Like, oh, you're surviving,
Right.
you're not dead,
Yeah,
you're not hurting, you're not broke. Okay,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
pay for this lunch, and then my birthday comes.
Right. So you're not both of y'all.
Exactly. Good, better, and different. The love is still
The
there.
love is still
that's
there.
the big thing.
Yes.
Love, yeah.
Yes.
And that doesn't change with anything,
Yeah.
Like, and it grows and it helps you actually. Like I love my sister-in-law so much. She's taught me so much. She actually got me into loving boxing. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So there's so many things that I take from her, and I feel like you shouldn't once again that box.
Right.
People with closed mind could have taken that a different way. Like that doesn't change anything. That doesn't change the love. I love her so much. She's family. You know what I'm saying?
She is family.
And that's nothing's gonna change that.
And I think now the way that things have evolved now, it's easier to talk about.
Yeah.
So if you're a person that's stuck in that, literally just talking about it, you'll be surprised of, how people feel as far as towards you as an individual. Because most of the time it's just how you identify yourself, but that doesn't, limit how they feel about you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
Absolutely. I have another, before, we close this out.
Yeah,
another
I know we closing out. I want to take up too much. We
Yeah.
getting that good time.
It's cool with me. It's cool with me.
Absolutely. So being you're a stylist like yourself. Is there any goals, or what do you see yourself? What's your top goal? Do you have a like an end goal in this? Like
I know I made it when I hit this.
No.
Okay.
He did say talk about the
No limits.
No limits.
I don't
like
want to
that.
be limited because I always believe that there's always an evolution.
Mhm.
I may get to the peak of my game and decide I want to be a singer.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's for me, there's no end goal. It's just to make sure that when I am called away from this universe, that everything that I had in me has been poured out and left here.
I love that.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, one last question. Stevie G International will be blank in 1 year. 1 year. What we do? 1 year, 5 year, 10 year. What years you want to do? We did 1 year, 3 year, 5 year for somebody. We did 1 year, 5 year, 10 year. What do you want, Dad? You want 1 year?
1 year. I'm gonna give you 2 years.
1 year.
1 year and 10 years.
1 year and 10 years. In 1 year, I will be known as a designer.
I love that.
I love
Okay.
Love that.
In 10 years,
And why you think on this? The only reason I say 10 years is because I'm trying to program, I'm not going to say all of us as far as, African Americans, but how we look at it, when I talk to my guys, we're looking, 2-3 years ahead of the line. We're not looking, as far as generational, like 30 years from now, or 20 years from now. So that's why I say 10 years, just to, kind of just have our minds thinking about, in 10 years, God willing, where would I be, or what would I like to be?
in 10 years, I'll be a millionaire.
I like that. I like that.
I will be a millionaire.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. I like
it.
that.
You gotta speak it.
Oh, I will be a millionaire.
I like that. Being from Miami, and we talked about this off air. Where would you, if you had 3 destinations to live, where would they be?
London.
That's one. Okay.
I want to also possibly, I wouldn't mind going to Nigeria or Ghana.
Can you elaborate on why?
The fashion is sick there.
Okay.
I've never been to Africa.
It's sick. Well, I haven't been to Africa, but I've met designers, I've met producers, I've met influencers from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And the fashion there is sick as far as their creativity. And then I would also like to live, I would say, Honduras.
That's nice.
Where's
You've
that
been to
one?
Honduras?
I've never been to Honduras.
Okay.
But there's a lot of holistic and healing and spiritual growth that goes there. That's where Dr. Sebi is from.
Okay.
I love Dr.
Okay.
Sebi.
Absolutely.
I love Dr. Sebi.
And I think that would be a good, I don't know how the economy or anything is there, but just to be able to grow in that level of spirituality, I think would be a great place.
Absolutely. And I want to just go deep in when you said Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an entry level, historian. Mm-hmm. And what I found out about, these luxury brands and what makes them different from a lot of other brands, I can give you like a Louis Vuitton, how they have their signature crests. Mm-hmm. These date back to, the history. So I think, when you said Nigeria, that's what resonated with me, the history. And they have, they know their history, they know their culture.
Yes.
So, and I feel like they put that into their clothing.
Yes.
Is that a reason why?
Yes. So the Nigerians, they put a lot of their heritage, their culture, their the things that they have, the resources that they have there into their clothing. And a lot of the things they don't get sourced, they find a way to make it on their own. And it's like he's playing with but it's like beauty from ashes.
I like that.
So it's like taking the dust of the earth and then molding it
to your own clay.
Yeah, to your own clay, and then you come out with this masterpiece. So I guess I won't limit it to Nigeria, but Africa in general. In general, I would love to.
And the reason I say that is I have a lot of Nigerian friends and African friends, and I've been to an African wedding, and she's African American, and the husband was from Nigeria, so they had two separate weddings. They had a traditional American wedding, which was nice, but the African wedding was it was so turned, and then it was so lively with the colors, and then I don't know what it's called with the hat, and it's just I seen so much culture, and I'm gonna be honest, I kind of felt envious. I was like, man, because me being an African American, of course I know my history, but it's different when
you're part of your history.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we think we know a lot of it, and it's still being revealed today. A lot of our history, and
I feel like it doesn't get enough light.
It's being removed from schools. Exactly. Of course, it's not getting light.
Legitimately,
it's being removed from schools.
Being removed from schools, actually.
So it's much difficult. It's harder for us to find our true history, our true culture, because it's been washed with so many other different things. And we never know it until we actually dive in and do the research, and we find out all along I thought this was something else, but this was a part of who I am and where I came from. Or it symbolized something else. That star on the just got me.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, okay. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel, because I'm like, well, damn, why we can't do it like this? Like, well, why we don't have this much of of culture other than jumping the broom?
Exactly. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Another question, man. I have so many questions.
Hey, I have
so many questions for you. Out of which era had the best fashion? Would you say the 70s?
Oh my gosh.
The 80s?
Yeah, that's a good question.
90s? Now, 90s is very iconic. Or, the early 2000s into the present day. Which, for yourself, your opinion, is the most, who had the best style?
Yeah. That's a good one.
And to ask that, so you're thinking which era would you like to style somebody in? If you could style somebody in any era, what era would it be in?
So, my personal favorite style that I actually still I wear now is 70s fashion. I still wear bell bottoms. I still wear wide leg pants. I wear high waist pants. I love the colors. I love the the aesthetics of just putting stuff on.
Very vibrant.
Men and women just put stuff on and it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it took a lot for women to be able to dress in the 17 and 1800s. Wearing those petticoats and wearing all this different layers of things, and it was tradition that you change multiple times a day. I love that. Like, if when I become a millionaire, I'm gonna because I'm already like that. Where some people don't like to put on pajamas. I like to put on pajamas for bed. I like to wake up and put on a long duster in the morning. Those are the things I like to do. And a lot of people don't like to do that because that was the old way. And my grandmother was that way. Mm-hmm. Like, she had her nightgown when she was going to bed. When she get up in the morning, she changed and put on her house dress. Absolutely. She took off that house dress. After 12 o'clock, she has to put on her afternoon clothes. Okay. Once it gets close to, I'm going to say 5 o'clock and she has to go to church or something, she puts on another look. Mm-hmm. So that tradition of changing and dressing, I'm going to give you some tradition too, was what I love. But for me, all day, 70s fashion.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I like that.
Now, tradition, Sundays were the only days Black people really dressed up.
Absolutely.
That was the most fashionable day for them.
I was going to actually say this. I come from a very traditional, old school background with my grandmother, and my grandfather was a pastor. And I must have went to church one day with a polo shirt, and my grandfather pulled me to the side. He said, "You ever wear this polo shirt to church again? You come in here with a suit, with a tie, very tradition. You know what I mean? Because that's how they work." Yeah,
but for our Black people, that was the only way that was the only place they can really dress nice, and be free in their fashion, because most of the time they was working, all day, and they had to wear those uniforms, or they had to wear work clothes, or they were slaves. Mm-hmm. And the only time they were able to, congregate is at church. And Andre Talley, he in his documentary, The Gospel, he talks about that, how Sunday, and for me growing up, church was a fashion show.
It was a fashion show. You better not.
I've never seen. My granny was the first lady, and she made it her job every Sunday. She was wearing something new. She had a new hat.
My grandmother, she started getting her clothes ready on Friday. But she used to have all these magazines, these books, Bird Eyes, which is now Macy's. Okay. She would go to Bird Eyes, then she would go to Lord & Taylor. Like, she would go to all these different places, and she would just be getting things. And then she would go to the suit shop and the dress store, the hat store, and all. And she would get all these different things. And every Sunday, she had something new. Yep, but not only her, all the other women in the church too.
Yeah, no, they was stepping.
And so you would, as a child, we would go to church and be like, we would sit in the back and like, we finna see who finna bring it. And it was always, one lady, she'll come in with, gloves with a nice hat. Another lady, she'll come in with a hat to the side, but instead of regular gloves, she got gloves up here. Yeah. So it's like, she got the gloves up there.
And with the accessories, what was a lost art, they always had them brooches.
They always had a brooch.
They had
you always had a brooch. You always had a bag that matched either your shoes or your hat. You always had pearls. You always had pearl earrings and pearl necklace. And you always had rings. Mm-hmm.
I get it from my grandparents, and oh man, it was just such a good era just to be in and see all that, because they took pride in their appearance. Yeah. They took pride in what I'm gonna work for, I'm gonna show off what I work
Right.
for.
I'm gonna show off what I work for. So that was for me when I started thinking about what really drew me into fashion. Like that was what drew me into fashion. And I told you guys I used to dance. I used to dance for my church, and when I got to an age where, okay, I'm not just gonna let y'all pick my uniform. I can pick my uniform. I used to actually get custom uniforms made for me.
Okay.
Because I was like, at one point it was because I think I wanted my uniform to look better. It was because it was like I want to be different. I want to be me. I love fashion. This was my way of being fashionable when I dance.
Okay.
Because I was like, well, if I can pay money to go buy, Polo or Tommy, I can pay money to make sure my dance uniform looks good.
Absolutely.
So yeah, church was the first place.
Church was the fashion show.
Yeah, it was a fashion show. Like if we could,
that might be something that you got to do.
Yeah, like if we could go back in time and like have videos of how it was to see these women and men, because church was a fashion show because you would have a man that just had a 3-piece suit. You would have a man that had a 3-piece suit with a long jacket instead of a short jacket. Like it was just
stepping.
Yeah,
everybody came correct.
Everybody came correct stepping. Even the men had nice hats and things like that. Your socks and your cufflinks was right. So those things. That's all for me. That was all fashion. And I didn't realize how much it played a big part in where I am today. Yeah. But it did.
In your opinion, why do you think we veered away from that? Do you think we did? And if we haven't, do you think, because I don't see, we don't see those large hats anymore. And do you think it's out of state or?
Well, I think it depends on the area you're in.
Okay.
Back at home in Miami, I still see it.
Okay.
But also too, times have changed where, that come as you are thing. Well, if I don't look like this, I'm not gonna go. But we still want you. We still want to bring you into the church. So if you don't have that, then come on in. Mm-hmm. It just look presentable.
Which is important too.
Absolutely.
Because it's not about that aspect. Because at once upon a time, they were those kind of women too that, oh, well, I just have this. And then, they grew through grooming to those aspects, which there are women that still do that for new women that come into the church. But also too, because the thought process evolved. We started to wake up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we started to realize that we didn't really need church to understand that I can still have a relationship with my higher power. I can say God, I can say whatever, but I'll say higher power because not everybody has the same outlook on it.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I think that's why.
You see that, yeah. I can probably still. I feel like in my granny's church, they still out there.
See, I like what you said. It's like it depends on where you are.
Yeah,
because they were from Louisiana, so in Louisiana they still do.
They still do it in Louisiana.
They still do it. Mm-hmm. So I like that. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, you got all the game. Steve's gonna be my life coach.
Listen, you know what? That was I actually thought about becoming before I got into the industry. I told my friend, I said, I think I should be a public speaker and a life coach. She said, yeah, because you always get me out of stuff and you always telling me the right stuff to do. I said, but I can't because I always tell myself the wrong stuff to do.
Would you ever go into PR?
I am PR. The funny thing is, in a way, I think I'm already in PR.
Okay.
Or A&R. But I don't necessarily put in that work to be PR. Because I've, I'm the type of person, I don't care what you do. If somebody say, oh, they need this, oh, I know somebody that do it.
Yeah.
And I always refer people. And I think I probably would be good in PR, but I love fashion so much.
Yes.
I love fashion so much. And I even considered wanting to be an agent, a model agent, until I decided, well, maybe I just want to model. But all of that still didn't trump fashion.
Okay. And you love fashion. So I'm gonna ask you a question because you alluded to this way earlier in the beginning. There are certain looks that you won't do. Could you go and elaborate of a look that you wouldn't do for it? Could you give me an example of that?
I like to dress people.
Okay.
There are things that, this is my opinion, this is my truth, that takes away, especially for women, of the old way of trying to figure out what's there. I'll go deeper. If you showing everything, you no longer give me something to dream about. You no longer give me something to want to see because you've already shown it to me.
Uh-huh.
So those type of looks where, you can't be a fully dressed woman or a fully dressed man, I don't want to do. Now, if it's swimwear, things like that, of course, we're selling swimwear. So we have to dress like this. But for me, I like to dress, like put on clothes. That's the art of styling. That's the art of fashion. It's putting on the clothing. And that all in itself creates a whole story.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So
that more
like
revealing. Yeah, like the two revealing things. I mean, because there are looks that can show but not really show. But then there are looks that just like, come on, man, you're just showing too much. Yeah. Those type of looks I don't like to do. I won't do. I've argued with clients because it's like, I want to do it. And I'm like, it don't fit the brand.
Exactly.
It don't fit where you want to be. And for me, I had to learn that on my own, because there was a point in time where I was just like, well, I'm just going to wear this because, I just want to wear it. And then as I started to see the impact on dressing in a specific way, God, I was like, oh, okay, this is, and a lot of times it was, like, okay, I'm just dressing up because I want the attention. It became that to that selfish point where I don't really care about, I just want it because I want the attention. And sometimes it was good. Sometimes it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. But the attention was still there. But I also understood that, the impact that, dressing a certain way would have.
I completely understand.
Yeah. Well, and then the big thing in it is it's also your brand. Like what you're putting out too is important as well. You might be the client, but if it's gonna affect what I do later on, you know what I'm saying, that's not gonna be good for me. It's gotta be good for everybody if we're doing it. You know? Exactly. It's very important. I agree with that. I couldn't have somebody on here that kind of like No Jumper. I don't know if y'all know what happened with No Jumper, but he brought on a neo-Nazi guy. But like 95% of your workers are black. Not only black, Crips and Bloods, and you know what I'm saying, from Fig, and you know what I'm saying. So like, how do you expect them to react? Right. You know what I'm saying. I would never bring somebody on here that I feel would hinder him or hinder myself. Exactly. And now that puts out a kind of a stigmatism, like, oh, you're okay with that. Right. You know what I'm saying. Right. Absolutely. So I understand that completely. Like everybody, I feel like we're gonna bring on, and it has something to bring not only to us, but to everybody watching as well. Yes. And I think that's very important. Understanding that not everything that's out there is supposed to be getting. Everything's not for you. There might be a person who's the complete opposite of you. Listen, I don't want all the clothes. I want it to be more revealing. I want the skin to be more of what we're showcasing. And that's okay. But you're not my client. Exactly. Exactly. You're not my client. Exactly. And that's what, getting to know the client. And when you get an initial client, getting to know them and getting them to tell you, what they want to do and things like that helps, because not every client is going to be my client. And
I've had someone, she's a beautiful woman, and when I saw the type of work she did, I was like, I can't work with you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, we cool,
Yeah.
I love for you.
I got love for you, but I can't work with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just that. Now I will say this too.
Okay.
I've had to fire clients.
Whoa.
All right. So
Tell me
elaborate on
about
that.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that.
So
What would cause for a Stevie firing?
I won't, put limits on it, but if the work environment becomes more toxic for me than the work itself, then I have to.
You good on it?
You gotta cut
I'm good on it because there is no money that can buy my sanity. So, and I tell people in any industry, it's okay to fire a client. Like, it's not gonna stop you from growing, because 9 times out of 10, when you fire that client, guess what? There's gonna be a client that comes, gives you exactly what you're asking for, with less of the headache.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no.
Or if they come with less money and want you to work 24/7, it's like you got to pay what you gonna get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everybody's trying to skimp.
I already know.
Everybody's trying to skimp right now.
Hello.
No, I love that. I love that. I never thought about that.
So Stevie, if someone out there was looking for a personal, stylist, where could they find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Stevie G INT, or you can email me at Styles by Stevie G International, or you can go to stylesbystevie.com, and there's a option to email me there, which will still come to Styles by Stevie G International.
Absolutely. Now, when y'all see me come in here, Drake looking good, I'm gonna tell y'all should have went over there and hollered at my man Steve. You know,
Sharp
I'm
and shit.
tell y'all.
Don't even ask me where it's from. You gonna already know. That's the big thing, man.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to close out with?
I had a great time. Meeting you. I learned a lot. And like you said, to be honest, this is all. There's no. What I like, what you said the best today is, I'm not gonna limit myself. I'm not, because there is no limit. Long as everything that we wanted to do before our expiration date is final. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
What about you, Dave?
I felt like I've grown with Stevie. I feel like Stevie's put me on a lot of things that I didn't know. And, I'm excited to meet Stella as well. And I'm excited to meet Stefan. I'm excited for all this. I'm excited for our friendship to grow. I want to thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming out here and doing this with us.
Thank you.
This has been an amazing show. We've learned so much. We've had so much fun. I know I gotta step my style up. I got to. Steve, next time Steve comes out here, I'm not gonna disappoint. I'll let y'all know.
And this is the Real Shooter Podcast. I be getting on Dave. I be like, hey man, we need to get them pants a little longer, because I always get them on that.
Listen, that's my style. That's the 70s. Is that 80s or 70s when they was flooding? They was flooding when
I don't know what style they was doing it,
but man. But once again, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Make sure you guys keep tuning in. We're going to keep on going strong. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment on this, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys.
Thank y'all so much.
And once again, this is Stevie G. Make sure you guys tap in, okay? Without further ado, we out. Bye!
I really ain't playing about paper. Yo, this guala, this goo up, you know what I'm saying? Cause it protects, so you know I ain't playing. Please don't approach, if you do, then I'm spraying. Been watching you niggas, don't like who you hang with. Get caught with the lame, then get claimed by the gang. Quick shooters, they active in action, this gang shit. Push up on you when they